Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Shire of 2J Ordinary Council meeting of the 6th of August 2026. No worries, thanks, Councillor. As we begin, I acknowledge the Ballardong Noongar people, the traditional custodians of the land where we meet today, and the Ewart and Wadjuk people, traditional custodians of other lands in the Shire of 2J, and I pay my respects to the elders past and present. We have in the council chambers today Councillor Mills, Councillor Madachi, Councillor McCormick, Councillor DeVell, Councillor van der Hayden and Councillor McEwen, with apologies from Councillor Prater. We have an approved leave of absence. Do we need to vote on this, or has that already been approved?
Through the Chair, that's already been approved.
So Councillor DeVell has an approved leave of absence from the 30th of July to the 4th of September. Do we have any disclosures of interest for today? Okay. Item 4.1, responses to previous public questions taken on notice. There was none. We have some questions here that we don't need to deal with.
Through the Chair, no.
Okay. Is there anybody in the gallery who wishes to ask some questions? Yeah, wait, yep. Yep. I was going to say name, rank and serial number, but just tell us who you are and whether you're a ratepayer, elector or...
Sure.
Yeah.
My name is Joshua Van Helsdingen. I'm a Shire resident. So I've got a couple sentences I want to say here and then 4 questions.
Thank you.
Ascentive held a workshop at the Old Depot site on the 8th of April, which they said was part of developing the site as a community hub. As an interested Shire resident, I attended the workshop and completed the questionnaire. I'm interested in the progress following on from this community engagement, as the site is not being used to its full potential for community benefit. And now I've got my questions to anyone who can answer them. Question number 1, on what date did the Shire receive Assentive's report?
Well, first of all, did we receive an Ascentive report?
Not Chair.
Okay.
Question number 2, do you know how many responses were received on the Old Depot questionnaire?
CEO,
No, I'd have to take that on notice.
I have seen that number somewhere, but yeah.
Yes, I've seen the number, but I'll have to take it on notice.
Yeah.
I don't have it on hand.
Yeah.
Question number 3, when will the Shire be releasing the report which is of public interest?
After the report's been received and considered by Council.
And my final question, how much has the Shire paid Ascentive for their consultation?
I'd have to take that on notice.
Okay, is that all? Yep, thank you. Anybody else? No? Thanks, thank you. We have no petitions, presentations or submissions. We have no business from a previous meeting. I have no announcements to make as the presiding member today. So that takes us to our first substantive decision. Item 10.1.1, retrospective development approval. I'll confirm the minutes. Oh yeah, my bad. First item on the agenda is the confirmation of the minutes. Item 6.1, the officer's recommendation being that the unconfirmed minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held on the 2nd of July 2026 be confirmed. Do I have a mover? Councillor Mills. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Madachi. Do I have any objections? I'll declare that carried. And I talked about items 7, 8 and 9 already, so we'll move on to the first substantive item, Item 10.1.1, retrospective development approval at 125 Sterling Terrace 2J, and we have an officer's recommendation and an alternate motion from Councillor Deval. Councillor Deval, would you like to read and put your motion,
Yep.
move your motion?
Thank you. My alternative is that Council, in accordance with Section 164 and Section 7 of the Planning and Development Act 2005, under Clause 65 of Schedule 2 of the Planning and Development Local Planning Scheme Regulations 2015, 1, approves the development already commenced at 125 Sterling Terrace 2J, comprising the construction of pergolas and a screen wall in the rear courtyard. 2, the installation of heritage-style doors to suit the existing opening from the current dining room to the courtyard. My reasons for providing an alternative motion is to ensure clarity of the legislation that provides Council with the authority to consider the motion, and which will, if supported, will become a standalone resolution for easy reading. It also provides clarity that the installation on the doors has not commenced and the opening is an existing opening.
That's not a huge difference from the
No,
original one, but
yep, so I'll move that.
can I suggest you make a small amendment to it?
You can ask.
And in item number, in point 2, that should start with approves the installation.
Oh, yes. Yep, good pick up, thank you.
Sorry, Mr. President, can I just seek clarification as well? In accordance with Section 164 and Section 7 of the Planning and Development Act, Section 7 refers to commission established. Was that meant to be Part 7 of the planning, which is retrospective?
Exec Manager.
Section 7, Clause 164 of Section 7 is under Part 2. The Section 7 you're talking about is actually Part 1 of the Planning and Development Act.
I think what he's saying is that it's section 164
Section
of
7 of Part
parts
2 of Schedule 2, not Section 164 of Section 7, Schedule 1. The Planning and Development Act is one of the most poorly written and sectioned and paragraphed reports, so... But we have checked, it's okay.
Can somebody clarify for me what it should say?
I'm taking the advice of the planning manager because I was pretty sure I had it right, and I haven't actually seen. I think Councillor Mills, did you send me an email on that, or send an email? So I haven't. Sorry, I haven't had a chance since I sent it in. So it was the.
Can we just bear with me for one moment?
Yeah, so to clarify what I was meaning to say, there's a section in the Act that gives 11 or 12 items or types of things that we have authority to make decisions on. And so that, whatever number that is,
Schedule 2.
Schedule 2, that's what I was meaning to put in there. So you've double-checked that?
I've double-checked this, yeah.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, but I still don't know whether it should read the way it reads.
Section 7.
So can we just
Yeah.
wait for the CEO to have a quick look? I think that's what he's doing.
Excuse me, may I ask a question?
Yes, councillor?
Look, not refuting the intent of councillor DeVal, and I'm reading that she wants this to ensure clarity of the legislation. Is that actually necessary in the resolution? Because are we going to use this pattern for every resolution that we pass?
No, that's
It
just,
seems-
that's not in the resolution.
Beg your pardon?
That, what you said isn't in the resolution. That's the reason for the resolution.
Yes, in the resolution, she has stated which act and which section everything comes under. Is this necessary is my question, and are we doing this just with planning or are we doing it with other things? Because to me it seems redundant to what we're actually
We'll wait for
approving.
some advice from the CEO. The easiest approach is to take Councillor Badachi's advice, a suggestion, and just put in a, that council, just go straight into the, you don't want to do that? Okay.
Given it may be a suggestion, maybe we can just leave out the section 7 because it is just stating what we have the, well, it's not that it's just stating, it is stating.
I'll
but
leave it. Do you wish to restate it, your resolution?
yeah, because I think the other two will cover our authority in any case. So I'm happy to make that change of in accordance with section 164 of the Planning and Development Act under clause 65 of schedule 2 of the regulations, you know, in full as I've written it, and also add in approve in point 2, add in the beginning approves the installation
Maria? Okay.
of it under clause 65. Yep.
I'll just
And
wait
approves.
for the
Yep,
CEO.
I'm happy.
Let's proceed on that basis then. So you're moving that?
I'm moving that,
As it now
thank you.
stands?
Yep, as it stands.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Van der Heyden. Do I have any objections? Declare that carried. Item 10.1.2 is a consent to advertise for dedication a portion of Burt Parkway, New Nile. The officer's recommendation being that council commence advertising for a period of no more than 30 days for the proposed dedication of Burt Parkway, New Nile as a public road. People interested in that can see the officer's report to see how that, the extent of that. Do I have a mover for this?
Can I move that with an amendment, please?
Yeah. Tell us what you remember.
That council sorry, I was just talking to the manager of planning prior to the meeting, that council approves commencement, that council under section 56 of the Land Administration Act 1997 directs the CEO to commence advertising for a period of no more than 30 days for the proposed dedication of Burt Parkway, New Nile as a public road.
Take your point there. So you're asking the CEO to do it rather than council to do it?
I think that would be best,
Yep. And you've added in a reference.
a reference to the section. Yep,
So are you moving that now
I am, yes.
with that amendment? Do I have a, yes, councillor?
I suggest a further amendment to that if there's no objection, and that is directs the CEO to commence advertising within the next 30 days for a period of no more than 30 days, because we have not put a time frame in there of when this is to occur.
Yep.
You're okay with that?
Yep.
Councillor DeVal, you happy to make some adjustment there?
I'm happy with that unless the CEO thinks it can go out earlier.
So long as it's within the...
Through the chair, I'm happy to have that modified 30 days.
Liz, we got that, Maria? So now are we,
I'm happy with that as it's amended.
okay, so you're happy to
Move
to
that.
agree to move that with the amendment?
Yes.
And do I have a seconder? Councillor Badachi. Are there any objections? I declare that carried. Item 10.1.3, consent to advertise revised local planning policy 13, non-habitable structures. The officer's recommendation being that council pursuant to clause 4 of Schedule 2, the deemed provisions of the Planning and Development Local Planning Schemes Regulations 2015, resolves to advertise the draft revised local planning policy 13, non-habitable structures, as contained in attachment 2 for public consultation. Do I have a mover? Councillor Mills. Do I have a seconder? Councillor McCormick. Do I have any objections? Councillor DeVal. So Councillor Mills wishes to speak in favour.
Not at this time, thank you.
Councillor DeVal, you wish to speak against?
Yes. I can't support this policy as it's written. There's been a lot of discussion about this policy in the workshop and the forum, and there's been a lot of difference of opinion, and I don't know that, particularly about the status of a sea container, if it's tied down or it's not, and if it's temporary and if it's permanent. And there's been no, I guess, clear way forward with that. And so there's a couple of reasons I'm not supporting it, and the first is that under the Act, one of the things we have to make decisions based on is facts. And at the moment, there's too much uncertainty about what the status of a sea container is, if it's tied down or if it's not. And secondly, I don't think that it would be wise for council to approve a policy, and I agree that the current policy absolutely needs updating, but I don't believe it's wise for council to then approve another policy, an updated policy, where there's still uncertainty in that policy. I think we just move from one problem to another problem. And I don't think that's good governance at all. And I know that this has been going back and forwards for a bit, but I think that is also evidence that we're not happy with it as a group. So on that basis, I'm not going to be supporting this policy.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McCormick, do you wish to speak in favour? Yeah, I have I need some clarification. If this policy is adopted, what happens to all the containers in the Shire that I know have been illegally placed on properties? Where do they then, what's the status of those containers? Exec Manager?
Through the chair, those containers still remain as illegal structures. They still have no approval and they're still subject to enforcement action.
But does this policy not allow a container without a permit?
The current policy and the proposed policy does not permit a sea container without an approval. So that doesn't change.
Well, I'll speak against it, but only on the same basis that I don't think that it's the fact that a container is attached to the ground or not attached to the ground is a reasonable way of separating the way I look at a container. Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Yes?
Thank you. In regards to Councillor DeVal, we did speak about, at the end of the day, if that's the only objection to whether the classification of what's being tied down and what's not being tied down. And I think there's an application for a sea container for the purpose of storage, which is defined that they can have it for 24 months. If it's going to be a permanent fixture and fixed to the ground, then they've got to do a building permit. All right, so that's defined in there. So so that's the reasoning behind that. Now, in regards to, we could have the same argument with retrospective with sea containers that are illegal. The same thing could be with sheds. The same thing could be with patios and lean-tos and that type of stuff. So they're still illegal regardless. So yes, my reasoning, I will support this policy going through.
Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Mills, Councillor Madachi. All those against? Councillor McCormick, Councillor DeVal, Councillor van der Heyden and Councillor McEwen. We need to state a reason for not accepting the officer's report. We don't need on that one. Item 10.1.4, adoption of local planning policy 2, ancillary dwellings policy. Officer's recommendation being that council receives the table of submissions as presented, and that's in attachment 3. Adopts the final ancillary dwellings policy number 2, attachment 4, into the, don't think we need to have that bit. Adopts the final ancillary dwellings policy number 2, attachment 4. I don't think we need that other little bit of verbiage there. And number 3, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to make any typographical amendments prior to publication. Do I have a mover for this one? Councillor Mills. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Badachi. Do I have any objections? Councillor DeVal. Councillor Mills, you wish to speak in favour?
Yes, this is the second time it's come to council, and Councillor DeVal objected to it the first time to see, and it was there to seek clarification. So there's basically the ancillary dwelling is a good policy, and it's pretty well defined. Yeah, it's something that the Shire needs to move forward with it. So I'll be supporting it.
Councillor DeVal, you wish to speak against?
Yes. My reasoning for this is the same as the previous policy. It has come to council before. We have talked about it. Yes, I've asked for clarity over one issue. That is still unresolved as well. The other, and that was about what is a group dwelling and what isn't, and how that affects ancillary dwelling applications on various different zones. So again, and the other thing that concerns me is that while the submissions showed that the farmers were largely unaware of some of the things that they can do on rural zoned land. And one, in the submission, in response to the submission, or I think in the officer's report, it was noted that one of the options for seasonal workers could be a caravan park or tourism, chalets or something. But each of those are coming under a different act, and there's ongoing fees with them, registration fees and things like that. So I don't, and I think also farms are not necessarily made up of single or only a couple of large size lots. There are farms that could be made up of different size lots that come under that 40 hectare or whatever the cut-off point is, which then gets caught up in the fact if they want to put a house and another ancillary, they're caught up because of the size of the land. So again, this policy, there has been a lot of discussion, and again, I don't think, because there's been a lot of discussion and difference of opinions on it, there's been lack of clarity, or, you know, we haven't clarified things. I again think that while I think the intent of this policy is great, the flexibility and the increase in size of ancillary accommodation, again, I don't think we can put this out, or I don't think we should put this out, because there is too many questions about it still, in my opinion. And I just think, again, it would be poor governance if we did that.
Anybody else wish to speak in favour? No, not yet. There might be somebody wishing to speak in favour or somebody wishing to speak against. Yeah, does anybody else wish to speak in favour? No. Once again, I have a clarification. Oh. No, I'll speak against it. I just think the policy is too complicated and long-winded. I think it could be made a lot shorter than it is to make and to clarify. There's some stuff in there that can be excluded and make the policy more clear. So I'll be voting against it. Does anybody else wish to speak in favour or against? Councillor Mills, you can rebut.
Thank you. When this came to council before, there was too many questions, and essentially Councillor DeVal requested that we were going to get advice for it. And numerous times since the last meeting, we've requested what wording is meant to be, that she wanted asked.
No, you need to rebut something that she said, not something that she might have done since the last meeting. Is there something that either of the people that spoke against it said that you wish to rebut? That's all you can do. You can't give us a potted history of what went on in the past.
So Councillor DeVal said there's too many questions, but there's no questions come forward. Apart from that the farmers were unsure, is that group dwellings? And that's been answered, so I'm just seeking clarification. There's too many questions, but nothing's been put forward.
I make a personal explanation on that. When I say there's too many questions, I guess not that there's been too many, well, I have asked questions, but when I say I believe there's too many questions in this policy, I think it's that sum of things, not whether something has been specifically asked.
Okay.
I don't even know if I'm explaining that right.
No, that's okay. So I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Mills? Anybody else? All those against? Councillor Madachi, Councillor McCormick, Councillor DeVal, Councillor van der Hayden and Councillor McEwen. Item 10.1.5. Valuations of multiple properties for sale. There's a confidential attachment for this, so I'll read out the officer's recommendation and then we'll work our way through the process after that. The officer's recommendation is that council notes the independent valuations undertaken for the properties as detailed in the Valuation and Risk Advisory Valuation Report dated the 2nd of June 2026 in confidential attachment 1. pursuant to section 3.58 brackets C brackets 2 of the Local Government Act 1995 determines that the valuations referred to above continue to represent a true indication of the current market value of the property or properties at the time of the proposed disposition. And number 3, council adopts the following market values. I think we'll have to leave following out. Adopts the market values for the purpose of the proposed sale of the properties authorised for disposal as detailed in the Valuation and Risk Advisory Valuation Report dated 2nd of June 2026 in confidential attachment 1. I don't think we need the word following. So, do we have a mover for this?
Can I just ask for a clarification first? Thanks. In the officer's report, in the comments and details section, it says the valuation report also includes 2 properties not for disposal but are required for administrative purposes. I'm just wondering, and I'll take advice from admin on this, would it be good practice to specify those properties in the resolution so it's very clear that they are not on the, they have not been listed for sale?
CEO?
Oh,
Through the chair, that's why point 1 and point 3 is actually in there, because council have previously resolved to authorise to actually sell those properties. So part 3 is dealing with the list of those properties that council have authorised to sell. Part 1 is dealing with the report in general, which includes all valuations.
Moved by Councillor Duval. Do I have a seconder? Councillor van der Heyden. Do I have any objections? Okay, declare that carried. Item 10.1.6. Agency referral subdivision 35 Burt Parkway, New Nile. Officer's recommendation that council not impose any subdivision conditions for this application, and 2, that council enter this response into the planning online portal for subdivision applications. So this is in response to a WAPC query, is that right? Yeah, just for clarity for people. So do I have a mover for this? Councillor McCormick. Seconder? You may, yeah.
may I ask a question? I wasn't aware that this had been added to the agenda, so I haven't had a chance to go into the link in the officer's report that says what the 12 model subdivision conditions can be. Could the manager of planning, before we look at whether we impose any or not, could I please have a bit of a summary? Thanks.
A little bit of background, yeah.
Through the chair, any applicant within West Australia who wishes to undertake a subdivision makes an application to the West Australian Planning Commission for a subdivision. The Department of Planning is responsible for managing that process. They then choose which agencies they send referrals to. Now, see, the Shire of 2J is one of those referral agencies. My response as an officer is to go onto the online portal, select from one of the subdivision codes, T1, road truncation, T22, L5, W1. They are fixed codes. We cannot modify those codes. We can only choose from the list. They go into the computer and the electronic response goes back to the department. The Shire is not an approval authority. We're only a referral authority. In this particular case, because this is our subdivision and we are going to be the people responsible for clearing our own conditions, there's no point in saying that the Shire of 2J needs to clear a condition for truncations on roads or for having engineering plans that are approved. So in this case, in this particular case, I've chosen that we would impose no conditions upon ourselves to complete the subdivision. That does not mean that the department won't impose codes themselves.
Okay, yep, no, thanks. I wasn't sure what the 12 condition schedules, because the link says 12 model subdivision conditions schedule. So I wasn't sure if it was like, have your water connected, make sure your power's on, do your crossovers, like all of that sort of thing. And I'm just guessing. That's what I was wanting clarified, because if we're being asked to decide if, and I fully understand that we're the governing, it's our own subdivision, but again, we need to know what those model conditions are so we can choose not to impose any on ourselves. Maybe we do. I don't know. So I still don't know what they are.
I have a hard copy I can bring into the chambers in a matter of a minute.
But it's just for clarification before anybody wants to, then I'll come to Councillor Van der Heyden and Councillor McCormick. The WAPC will impose conditions. So this has come to the Shire of 2J, my understanding, to see if there's any extra conditions that we might like to impose. Is that how this works?
If this was a private land development,
Yeah.
then yes, the Shire would want to impose conditions that we would clear so that they
No,
could go
but
through
on
to
top of
titles.
the others though.
Well, we get to choose what conditions we want.
Okay. Councillor,
I just was just seeking some clarity. I don't quite understand what the council is involved in what you just described there. Like, you keep saying the Shire will be imposing conditions, but what is the council's role in that?
Through the chair, under the delegations that we currently operate under, any subdivision greater than 10 lots must be brought before council. This is an unusual situation that we are both the developer and the authority who will clear the conditions. So it would seem superfluous that we impose conditions on ourselves that we need to clear for ourselves. But I can, the web link was provided to go through to the manual which shows what codes can be imposed and what codes can or can't be changed, effectively can't be changed. If we were to not respond within the 42 days, the department would deem that we have no response, and then they would choose what conditions to be imposed.
sorry, Councillor, I promised I'd go Councillor Van der Heyden, Councillor McCormick, then to you. Councillor McCormick?
Thank you. Thank you, Officer, for your explanation. Just for clarification, in your application to WAPC for this subdivision at the location mentioned, are you saying you've selected, as part of that application, a type of subdivision that you're seeking approval for? Have you actually added criteria to the application that defines what sort of subdivision it is?
Through the chair, I think I understand your question, meaning that when we have chosen to do our subdivision of land at the Batty Pass estate, up next to the high school, we need to be able to make sure that we have the water connected, power meters, we need to make sure we have driveway crossovers if need be, we need to make sure that the curbs and roads are engineered correctly. These are normal conditions you would go through page by page, and it's a big manual to choose from what category you want to choose from. Do we need to impose reserve conditions? No, there's no reserve. Is there a primary school? No, there's no primary school. So you go through and you select what would be reasonable conditions to be imposed on a developer for a subdivision. In this case, it's conditions on ourselves. But if we were to go through for a private developer, we'd want to see plans for the road engineering. We'd want to see this, we'd want to see
Okay, so that selection that you're talking about, has that come to council? Because I just can't remember.
95% of all subdivisions in the Shire do not come to council. This particular one has come to council only because I have no delegation to make a recommendation to the department.
Yeah, but I just haven't, I cannot remember seeing a definitive list of conditions that you're already talking about now, which is crossovers, da-da-da-da-da. I just can't remember being that presented to council.
Well, no, to council, so that's true. Is it?
So in the item, the subdivision. Because it's too big to publish.
Subdivision, the actual subdivision plan itself.
Yes, it's attached.
So, Councillor Madachi, you had a question, and then I'm going to do something else. Councillor Madachi, yeah.
Yes, I've got a simple question. When did the 42 days commence? When did we receive notification? What was the date?
The attached letter has the commencement of the 42 days.
Yes, but when was it received?
Was it 1.6? 59. Page 59.
It's the page 59. It's coming now, 21st of July.
The official letter was the 21st of July 2026.
All right. So, I'm going to move that this item is withdrawn from the agenda and
Can't do that. You can defer it. You can
we'll
move to...
defer it. Sorry, yes, you're quite correct, Councillor. That we defer this item and, if necessary, we'll have to address it with a special meeting.
CEO, can we have some advice from your good self?
Yes, we can do that and then call a special council meeting to discuss this one issue, as long as the special council meetings is held within the statutory time frame for submissions. Yeah, that's fine. It's the 6th of August now, so.
Councillor Madachi, so what is your motion?
My motion is that item 10.1.6, agency referral, is deferred to a special meeting of council.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, you can't do that.
Or defer,
Till later. Yeah,
or defer to workshop.
or to something, yeah.
There still has to be a resolution.
I need some advice on wording this. You can't actually call a special council meeting
All right.
in a council resolution, that's all I'm
But we
thinking.
can defer it to a workshop for further
I'll just see
discussion.
what they think.
Then we can call a special meeting. You can, but when you do that, you haven't actually put it on the agenda. So we need to keep it fluid so we don't lose it. That's all. And I bloody left. It's the first time I've never brought my laptop. First time, because I thought, oh no, everybody's using. Yeah, I have. And I left the whole lot behind thinking, okay, or hard copy. Beg your pardon? Yes, it had, yeah, so it would, the date today, so it will need to be brought to workshop within, within 2 weeks. I need a calendar. 2 weeks as of today. Beg your pardon, 2 weeks from today?
Councillor Madachi, turn your mic off.
So, but to be brought to workshop by the 20th of August. And that gives us further time then to make a decision and
Okay, the CEO is going to give us some advice.
Through the chair, what I would recommend that Councillor Madachi do is foreshadow an alternative motion if this motion is lost, and that alternative motion be what Councillor Madachi was putting forward.
no, that we defer it to a workshop first. That the matter be deferred to a workshop by the 20th of August. Yeah, to allow, and that gives 14 days then to allow for a special meeting and get a response back. Before the 20th of August. Special meeting to be scheduled at time and date. Yep, thank you. Yep, that's good. Yep, happy with that, thank you. Caught me on the fly.
So the first thing we'll have to do is deal with the officer's recommendation, and if the officer's recommendation fails, then we'll move on to the foreshadowed motion. So the officer's recommendation is council not impose any subdivision conditions for this application and enter this response into the planning online portal for subdivision applications.
Point of order.
Well, you can't raise a point of order. So, do I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? You already moved it, did you?
I've moved it.
Yep. Councillor McCormick, you moved it before?
Oh, gosh, sorry.
You
Yep,
may
that's
have.
all right.
Did we have a set? You may, yeah. I ask you a question. Minute taker, did it, Councillor McCourt? Okay. Okay,
No one seconded.
okay. Do I have a seconder? Okay, well, that fails for want of a seconder. So, now, Councillor Madachi, would you like to propose your alternative motion?
Yes, certainly. I'd like to foreshadow the alternate motion that the matter be deferred to a workshop prior to the 20th of August 2026 to allow a special meeting to be scheduled at a date and time set by the Shire President within the statutory comment period.
Do you see any problem with that?
It's just for one.
Through the chair, no, I don't.
Exec Manager, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Excuse me,
So
can
it's been moved by Councillor
excuse me, can I put one word in that before? That the matter be deferred to a workshop prior to the 20th of August 2026 to allow a special council meeting to follow. It needs to, or to be scheduled at a date and time set by the Shire President after, it needs to be somewhere we need to put the, yeah, to follow the workshop.
before the 20th.
Please, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I'm open to suggestion
To-
with
yeah,
the wording.
Yeah.
To follow,
The workshop.
yeah, to follow the workshop
Oh, you can do it straight away, yeah.
and scheduled at a time, date and time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
By Councillor Madachi, seconded by Councillor Devell. Do I have any objections? We'll declare that carried. Thanks, councillors. Item 10.2.1. It refers to the differential general rates and general minimum payments. The officers recommend, this is for the budget, the coming up budget. The officers' recommendation is that council notes that no submissions were received from the advertising of the Shire of 2J's intention to impose differential rates for the 26-27 year. So do I have a mover? Councillor Devell, do I have a seconder? Councillor Mills, do I have any objections to that? Declare that carried. Item 10.2.2 is the list of payments for June 2026. Round out the financial year. Officer's recommendation being that council receives a list of accounts as presented and listed below for the month of June 2026. Municipal cheques, $519. Electronic funds transfer payments, $1,515,882. Payroll, $261,837. Credit cards, $6,110. And other payments, including direct debits, $206,386, for a total of $1,990,735.88. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Mills. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Madachi. Do I have any objections? Declare that carried. Item 10.2.3, the monthly financial statements for June 2026. The officer's recommendation being that council receives the monthly financial statements for June 2026, attachment 1. Do I have a mover? Councillor Devell. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mills. I'll declare that carried. The next item is item 10.2.4, the adoption of the Shire of 2J annual budget. And this is a long recommendation with 7 parts to it. I'm inclined to treat this as a complex motion and treat each part separately. so that somebody doesn't have to vote against the whole thing if they are not happy with part of it. So I will move the first part. So the first recommendation is that council, pursuant to the provision of section 6.2 of the Local Government Act 1995 and part 3 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996, adopt the 2026-27 municipal budget as attached, which includes the following: a statement of comprehensive income, statements of cash flow, rates setting by type, notes to and forming part of the budget, and the capital expenditure program. So do I have a mover for that? Councillor McCormick.
Can I ask a question?
You may, Councillor Duval.
If this is to adopt the budget, doesn't all that other stuff follow through because it is part of the budget?
See.
Thank you. Through the chair, yes, you're quite correct. It's actually all part of the budget, but all the parts that are in here are parts that council have to adopt or resolve individually as per the regulations. So yes, it's all included in the budget and it's all included in the notes, but council must resolve each of those, so it follows through. So by adopting part 1 of the budget, you're adopting all of this, which is detailed in the budget, but council have to include it in the resolution, as stated.
Okay, so even though in part 1 we adopt the budget and it includes all of those other sections, if we're doing this complex motion, what we're then doing in parts 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, we can tweak things there? That's what... So that's what I was asking, because the first one is adopting the budget. And then adopt the budget. Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we'll start with number 2. For the purpose of yielding the deficiency disclosed by the municipal fund budget, the fund budget, council pursuant to section 6.32, 6.33, 6.34 and 6.35 of the Local Government Act 1995 imposes the following differential general and minimum rates on gross rental and unimproved values. General rates: gross rental valuations, GRV residential rate in the dollar 0.128120 and with a minimum of $1,570 per property. GRV commercial rate in the dollar 0.159567 with a minimum 1,570. GRV industrial rate in the dollar 0.131057 with a minimum of 1,570. GRV rural minimum rate in the dollar 0.123655 with a minimum $1,570. And GRV rural residential rate in the dollar 0.117645 with a minimum rate of 1,570. And for the unimproved valuations, UV general with a rate in the dollar of 0.010046 with a minimum payment of 1,570, and UV rural rate in the dollar of 0.005260 with a minimum of 1,570. And that being the case, do I have a mover for that? Councillor McCormick. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Duval. Do I have any objections? I'll declare that carried. Next item is pursuant to section 6.45 of the Local Government Act 1995 and Regulation 64(2) of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996 adopts the following due dates for the payment in full and by instalments. Option 1, payment in full, 30th of September 2026. Payments by instalments, option 2, first instalment due, 30th of September 2026. Second instalment, 1st of December 2026. Third instalment, 1st of February 2027. And fourth instalment, 1st of April 2027. Yes?
Through the chair, that's correct. We realised this afternoon that the payment dates were 3 days short of meeting the statutory requirements, so the dates have been amended to reflect that in the councillor reference.
So do I have a mover? Councillor Mills, seconded Councillor McCormick. You may, yep.
If it's not in the agenda, but it's in the councillor reference, which is just an unofficial document, we need to amend the, like you've read out the officer's recommendation, but it's yeah, which is different dates to what's in the agenda.
That's
we
correct.
need an amended.
No, I read out I read that out. That's what I want you to vote on, what I read out.
But how does an unofficial running sheet
I know,
override an agenda?
The CEO's provided an explanation, and I've read out the new dates. I agree we weren't forewarned, but that's what's happened.
I just want to make sure that procedurally, the agenda and therefore the resolution is legal. And I don't know how changing dates, like, great, we've got it in the run sheet, but unless we do...
Forget that. The officer's recommendation is the officer's recommendation.
But not in the agenda.
No, it's not. But still
So
the officer...
we need an amended motion.
Well, I have it. No.
Surely.
CEO.
All right, thank you.
Through the chair, the council can move any recommendation that they want, and that can be different to what's in the agenda, which is what's happened here.
Councillor Badachi, you wish to ask something?
Yes, look, I agree with Councillor Duval on this. Perhaps she could propose that the dates are recognised.
Too late. I have read out a recommendation. It's been moved and seconded.
Okay, you're correct.
Do I have any objections? Councillor Duval. Councillor Mills, do you wish to speak in favour?
No, thank you.
Councillor Duval, you wish to speak against?
I'm objecting to it on a procedural basis, not on the dates themselves.
So you're not objecting to the resolution that I read out?
Actually, yes, that flows on to the procedural. I don't think procedurally... Yep. I am.
Okay. Councillor McCormick, do you wish to speak in favour? Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Mills, you don't wish to rebut, do you?
No, thank you.
I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour of the resolution, Councillor Mills, Councillor McCormick, Councillor Badachi, Councillor McEwen, and those against? You vote, Councillor van der Heyden voting for it, and those against, Councillor Duval. Item number 4 in this list of things to do, Council resolves to impose, in accordance with section 6.453 of the Local Government Act 1995, an additional charge of $10 per instalment notice and an interest rate of 5.5% applicable to rates and charges paid by the 4 instalments payment option. And in accordance with section 6.13 of the Local Government Act 1995, a rate of interest of 11% applicable to any amount owing to the local government other than rates or service charges, with interest calculated from the due date, which is 35 days from the date of issue shown on the account for payment. And C, in accordance with section 60.511 of the Local Government Act 1995, a rate of interest of 11% applicable to overdue and unpaid rates, with interest calculated from the due date, which is 35 days from the date of issue shown on the account for payment. In accordance with section, this is D, in accordance with section 67 of the Waste Avoidance and Resource Recovery Act 2007, an annual rubbish and recycling charge is imposed. $382 for domestic service, once per week single bin pickup and once per fortnight single recycle bin pickup. $105 for domestic additional fortnightly recycle bin pickup. $285 for domestic additional mobile garbage bin pickup. $446.25 commercial light industrial for once a week single bin pickup and once per fortnight single recycle bin pickup. $129 for commercial light industrial additional fortnightly recycle bin pickup. $343.74 for commercial light industrial and additional mobile garbage bin pickup. In accordance with section 66 of the Waste Avoidance and Resource Recovery Act 2007, impose the following differential waste transfer levy and minimum on gross rental and unimproved values. GRV residential, rate in the dollar, 0.0040257, a minimum of $111. GRV commercial, 0.004, they're all the same. It's the same for GRV commercial, GRV industrial, GRV rural and GRV residential. The rate in the dollar being 0.0040257, $111 minimum. And for unimproved valuations, 0.0000124, rate in the dollar and $111 minimum for UV general and UV rural. Do I have a mover? You have a question, Councillor DeVell.
Okay. In point A of, it talks about the $10 per instalment notice and interest rate of 5.5, applicable by the four instalment payment option.
Oh, yeah.
We discussed about, at the forum, we discussed about the first payment, if paid on time, why is that being charged interest and a $10 fee? I can't remember what the outcome of that was, but I'm not, maybe the instalment, the $10, but I'm not sure that an interest rate should be charged on something, on the initial payment, if it's paid on time.
If it was paid on time, it would be zero interest.
And maybe we need to reference in there.
Sorry, yeah. Exec Manager?
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to reference in there also that the 5.5% applicable is to unpaid rates. So it doesn't apply to the first instalment, but yes, but it also only applies to unpaid rates.
CEO, do we need to make an amendment there?
Through the chair, this is standard wording that local governments have used for many years. What actually starts the instalment, the instalment is the first payment, and under the Act, interest is only charged on the outstanding balance of the rates, which won't include the first instalment because that's what actually makes the first instalment. The $10 fee is only applicable to those instalments that have to be paid. So that's 3, not 4.
Councillor Van der Heyden.
I just had a question on that point A as well. Do we budget for that? Like, is that an amount that we expect to be getting in and we have a line item for that?
Through the chair, yes, we do budget for that revenue.
Okay,
No,
so
we don't. Because as soon as the invoices go out, the whole of the rates is accrued to our accounting system on an accrual basis.
That's for rates revenue. This is revenue over and above rates revenue, so it's treated separately. So we do actually budget for that revenue based on previous experience on a number of ratepayers that do elect to pay by instalments.
So the extra cash is allowed for in the budget.
Correct.
Okay.
and do we,
So it doesn't affect it's nothing to do with cash flow.
okay, but it is like if we were to not receive that money or to take that interest payment out of this, it would affect our budget?
Correct.
No, it wouldn't affect our budget.
Yes, it will, because we budget for that revenue separate to rates.
Yeah, but won't affect the budget.
It will, because we work on a balanced budget. So if council,
The budget. What happens after we set the budget won't affect the budget. It might affect the cash coming in, but it won't affect the actual budget.
Well, the budget's a forecast, so, well, it is. It is with rates.
Okay? We have an explanation of the instalments. The only other thing I'd like to query is that we talk about an interest rate of 5.5%. Surely that's a per annum interest rate in all those cases? Or is it a straight 5%?
No.
If you're 1 day late, you pay 5.5%?
it's 5.5%, and under the Act, it's an annual rate calculated
Yeah,
daily.
so they're per annum rates. Okay, if that's what the Act says, that's fine by me. So we've got a mover and a seconder. I think Councillor McCormick moved it. Councillor Van der Heyden seconded it. I'm sorry I didn't tell you that before. Oh, okay, you only questioned it. Would somebody like to second it? Councillor Mills will second it. So now, are there any objections? Okay, we'll declare that carried. Thank you, everybody. The next one, item 5, pursuant to section 6.16 of the Local Government Act 1995, adopt a schedule of fees and charges included in the 26-27 budget as attached, effective 1st of July 2026. Do I have a mover? Councillor Mills. Yeah, I was waiting, Councillor. Okay.
Sorry,
So
apologies.
You're
a
seconding it?
microphone.
Oh, well,
I'd
you
like-
can't second it with an amendment.
Sorry, I'd like to second it, because I could request an amendment from
You
the
may.
mover,
Just see what the
please.
move.
It's a very simple one. Under the 2J Recreation Centre fees for each club, I believe there's been a typo on the 2J Tennis Club, and it's, if we can change that 675 to align with the other clubs for 575. Thanks.
Through the chair, that's a valid change. That's in line with the other sporting clubs that are using that facility.
Councillor Mills, you're happy with that amendment?
That's correct.
So it's been moved with the amendment, seconded by Councillor Deval. Are you happy with the way it's expressed? Are there any objections? I'll declare that carried. Item 6, Council grants a rate concession of 100% of the 2026-27 year to the following properties. A 202037, 101 Stirling Terrace 2J. A 203276, 15 Anzac Terrace 2J. A 202509, 2 Henry Street 2J. A 201983, 1AD Harper Road 2J. A9017, 7 Clinton Street 2J. A3020, 120A C Stirling Terrace 2J. And there's a note that the ratepayer, despite having a general rates concession, is responsible still for the payment of rubbish charges, ESL levies and waste transfer levies. So, do I have a mover for this one? Councillor Deval. A seconder? Yeah, question. Right, Councillor? Yep.
I'll try and remember to turn it on. The 1AD Harper Road, I've forgotten which property that was.
20.
1AD Harper Road.
We're trying not to say that, are we?
Oh,
So
would you,
please,
would you like me to approach?
I'll let you know later on, if you like. We did discuss it at the workshop, I'm sure.
Okay, but it
Yeah.
came up at the workshop.
Yeah, okay. I'll explain it to you later if you
Okay,
like.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Councillor van der Hayden?
Can I just ask some clarification on that, just that last note there, where it says ratepayer? Are they considered ratepayers if they're 100% exempt of rates?
The rubbish rates.
Well, it says, the note says the ratepayer is responsible, but we're giving them a 100% concession. Are they still considered a ratepayer? Yes. Yeah, okay.
Still a
That's it.
ratepayer,
I just
yeah,
wanted to make sure
yeah,
that the wording
yeah.
was clear.
I've got a mover, Councillor Deval. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Mills? Are there any objections to that? No, okay. And lastly, before going back to the first one, in accordance with Regulation 34(5) of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996 and AASB, which I guess is the Australian Accounting Standards, 1031 materiality, the level to be used in statements of financial activity for the reporting of material variances shall be 10% or greater, or $10,000 of the current budget. Whichever is the greater. Now I've got it. Okay, it's sunk in. In addition, the material variance limit can be applied to total revenue and expenditure for each nature and type classification and capital income and expenditure in the statement of financial activity. So these are the thresholds where an explanation is required in the monthly financial statements. Do I have a mover? Councillor van der Hayden. A seconder? Councillor Mills. Any objections? No. So we'll move back to the adoption of the budget. And I think the alteration by dropping $100 off the fees and charges won't materially affect the budget. So we can, where we change the fees and charges from the, it's only $100 difference, is there not?
Through the chair, this part of the resolution is not to adopt the fees and charges. That's already been done.
No, but they will feed into the budget.
Yes, correct.
So there'll be a small change there.
Correct.
Okay, but this...
It's immaterial.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Okay, so here we go. That council, pursuant to the provision of section 6.2 of the Local Government Act 1995 and part 3 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996, adopt the 2026-27 municipal budget as attached, which includes the following. 1. Statement of comprehensive income. 2. Statements of cash flows. 3, rate setting statement by type. 4, notes to and forming part of the budget. And 5, capital expenditure program. And this has already previously been moved by Councillor McCormick. You're still happy to move it? Do I have a seconder? Councillor van der Heyden. Are there any objections? Councillor Madachi. Councillor McCormick, you wish to speak in favour? Councillor Madachi used to be.
I've very little to say. Simply, I don't believe the community interest has been adequately addressed.
The which?
The community interest, I don't believe it's been adequately addressed.
Could I just ask Councillor Madachi to expand on that?
I don't wish to go into it too much, but simply there are some expenditure items that I'm concerned about, and a lack of addressing of certain items that need to be addressed.
Which ones are they?
That's fine. I'm not going to be quizzed on.
Been moved and seconded. I've had somebody speaking. No one, the mover didn't wish to speak for it. Councillor Madachi spoke against it. Does anybody else wish to speak for it? Councillor Mills.
Being my first budget with the Shire, I believe that it is a responsible and the best that we can do with what we've got. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
Anybody else wish to speak against? For? Councillor van der Heyden.
I'd like to sort of echo Councillor Mills's words there. I think we spent a lot of time on this budget, and the budget has been handled quite well. I think it does actually address a lot of the concerns that previous budgets or the community has had with previous budgets. I think it's a good budget.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else wish to speak in favour or against?
Yep.
Councillor
Just
Deval.
briefly in favour, and I totally agree. I think we had a very robust couple of workshops. In particular, the councillors. At the first workshop, we did express expectations in terms of plant and projects and things which materially changed how admin responded to what we were concerned about at the time. And there was, throughout the workshops, some really good robust discussion with the admin to get this budget as it is. We've managed to do a budget 0.5% lower than the advertised rates. The different projects in there were all discussed. So, yeah, I agree. I think given that we've had a lot of unexpected financial burdens in the last 12 months or so, Newcastle Bridge and all the rest of it, which really affected decision making, I think this budget is certainly the best that we can put together at this time.
Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Councillor McCormick, you have right of rebuttal if you'd wish to take it. Okay, in which case I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Mills, Councillor McCormick, Councillor Deval, Councillor van der Heyden and Councillor McEwen. And against? Councillor Madachi. I declare that carried. And note that that was a absolute majority. Yeah. Item 10.2.5, this is to do with the sale of land for outstanding rates and charges that have been outstanding for more than 3 years. The officer's recommendation being that Council resolves in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995 and pursuant to section 6.56 or 6.64 to proceed to sell A407, A1852, A1873, A1937, A1508 and A2493, which have rates and charges in arrears for 3 or more years and recover from the proceeds the outstanding balance, which currently sits at $91,853.46. And 2, authorises the temporary Chief Executive Officer to act on Council's behalf to commence proceedings to sell properties A407, A1852, A1873, A1937, A1508 and A2493 to recover outstanding monies owed to the Shire. Do we want to give you a time limit on that to kick that off, CEO?
Through the chair, this will be acted on very, very quickly.
Okay, if everybody's happy with that. Do I have a mover? Councillor Duval. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Madachi. Do I have any objections? I declare that carried. Item 10.3.1. This is the Shire of 2J Community Funding Program for 2026-2027. The officer's recommendation that Council approves a total allocation of $24,200 for the 2026-27 Community Funding Program as follows. Arts 2J Avon Valley Arts Trail, $3,000. Arts 2J Art Prize Exhibition, $2,500. Arts 2J Community Workshop Program, $3,000. Noongar Cartage and Aboriginal Corporation Noongar Trail, $6,200. 2J Naturalist Club Julamar Wildflower Brochure, $2,000. 2J Race Club Heritage Race Picnic Day, that's prize money, is it not? $2,500. And then ad hoc funding under CEO delegation, $5,000. And Council also notes the approved activities must be completed within the 26-27 financial year and recipients must comply with the acquittal requirements. Do I have a mover? Councillor McCormick. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Madachi. Any objections? I declare that carried. Oh dear. Item 10.4.1, Stage 3, Activities in Thoroughfares and Public Places and Trading Local Law 2026, consideration of submissions and adoption, and the officer's recommendation. Who was the officer in this case?
The governance coordinator.
The governance coordinator. Would you like to read out the officer's recommendations, CEO?
Through the chair, I will. That Council 1 notes the submission received during the public consultation period for the proposed activities in thoroughfares and public places and trading local law 2026. 2, determines that the submission has been duly considered in attachment 1. Part 3 notes that minor drafting amendments have been made to the activities in thoroughfares and public places and trading local law 2026 as presented, attachment 2, to improve clarity and consistency, and that these amendments do not alter the intent or effect of the local law and are not significantly different from the proposed activities in thoroughfares and public places and trading local law 2026 that was advertised. And 4, makes the activities in thoroughfares and public places and trading local law 2026 pursuant to section 3.12 of the Local Government Act 1995 as attached in attachment 2, and Part 5 authorises the Chief Executive Officer to affix the common seal of the Shire to the activities in thoroughfares and public places trading law, local law 2026, arrange publication of the local law in the Government Gazette in accordance with section 3.12 subsection 5 subsection A. Part C, notify the Director General of the Department of Local Government, Industry, Regulation and Safety and any other relevant department or minister in accordance with section 3.12, subsection 5, subsection B. And Part D, give local public notice of the local law in accordance with section 3.12, subsection 6 of the Local Government Act 1995.
Do I have a mover for that? Councillor van der Heyden has a question? Yeah.
Don't we usually include a point on there that authorises the CEO to make any typographical changes and before, or is that?
Through the chair, that's in the stage prior to this.
Thank you.
Is
Can
there
I
a
move
question,
that
Councillor
we
Deval?
just,
Yeah.
authorising the temporary Chief Executive Officer, just to be succinct?
Yep.
Well, you've got to get it right.
Did I ask for a move? I haven't had a mover yet, have
Yeah,
I?
you did ask, and I said I'd like to move it. but
So you'll
just-
move it with that
I'm
change?
moving it with that, if that
Okay.
is okay with everyone.
Does anybody else have a question? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mills. So move Councillor Deval, seconder Councillor Mills with that slight amendment. Are there any objections? Okay, declare that carried. Item 10.5, infrastructure assets and services. I see they're not doing anything this month, so that's might be a bit harsh on them to say that, but there's nothing in the agenda for it. Item 10.6, 10.6.1 is a recommendation for the Audit and Risk Committee, being the Audit and Risk and
Improvement Committee.
Improvement Committee, just went blank there. Audit Risk and Improvement Committee recommendation number ARIC 053/07/26, being that Council receives the updated Audit Risk and Improvement Committee work plan and schedule as endorsed by the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee on the 9th of July 2026. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Mills. Do I have a seconder? Councillor van der Heyden. Are there any objections? I declare that carried. We have no motions of which previous notice has been given, do we? No? By members? No notice of motion for consideration at the next meeting. No questions from members under due notice. We do have an item in item 14, and the only slight query that one of the councillors had is the numbering of that item. Is it? Can somebody explain why it's new business of an urgent nature introduced by a decision of the meeting? It's that, and it says employee, so it's come from an employee. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, so we have a late item regarding the Walga 2026 Annual General Meeting voting delegate and proxy registrations. The first thing we need to do is consider Officer's Recommendation 1, that Council considers item 14.2.1, Walga 2026 Annual General Meeting, voting delegate and proxy registrations as new business of an urgent nature. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Deval. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mills. Are there any objections? Okay. So the next part is the Officer's Recommendation about voting delegates and proxy for the Walga Annual General Meeting. Can somebody give us a bit of background on this one?
Through
CEO?
Through the chair, the annual general meeting of the WA Local Government Association is being held on the 17th of September 2026, and council gets two votes at that AGM. So the purpose of this is to appoint those voting delegates to attend the AGM for the WA Local Government Association and vote on any resolutions that might be presented at that meeting. It's also to appoint some proxies so that if the delegates can't attend for some reason, well then the proxies can step in and act on their behalf.
Okay. So we need some names. So is there some, Councillor Madachi?
Has the time frame for the agenda closed for the Wagga agenda? Pardon? It has? Okay. Yep, so nobody's put anything in from 2J, okay.
Voting, councillor, yeah. Yeah. So it's an officer's recommendation with blanks in it. So how do I deal with that, CEO?
Through the chair, prior to moving the motion, I would suggest that that the chair actually call for some nominations.
I say nomination as voting delegate number 1. Do I have a nomination for that?
Yeah, I nominate Councillor Mills.
Okay, so what did you nominate, Councillor Devell? I'm happy to one or the other. Yeah. So Councillor Mills, yeah, okay. Do you accept that nomination, Councillor? Yeah, that's good. Do I have a nomination as the second voting delegate? Okay, Councillor Devell, you're happy to do that one? Yeah. Do I have a proxy for the first one? Well, to save time, yeah, Councillor Madachi, proxy for the first one. Yeah, and I'll go proxy for the second one. Okay. So now the officer's recommendation with those nominations in it is that council appoints Councillor Mills as voting delegate number 1 for the 2026 Wagga Annual General Meeting to be held on the 17th of September 2026. 2, appoints Councillor Devell as voting delegate number 2 for the 2026 Wagga Annual General Meeting to be held on the 17th of September 2026. 3, appoints Councillor Madachi as proxy 1 for the 2026 Wagga Annual General Meeting to be held on the 17th of September 2026, and appoints Councillor McEwen as proxy 2 for the 2026 Wagga Annual General Meeting to be held on the 17th of September 2026, and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to complete and submit the required Wagga registration documentation on behalf of the Shire of 2J prior to the registration closing date of the 1st of September 2026. Do I have a mover? Oh, that's okay. Okay. Do I have a mover? Oh, Councillor. The two voting delegates like to move it and second it. So the move, Councillor. Well, I'll accept it. Councillor Mills has moved it. Councillor Devell seconded it. Are there any objections? No. Declare that carried. We have no confidential business tonight under item 15. Next meeting's schedule is the ordinary council meeting on the 3rd of September. Audit Risk and Improvement Committee on the 13th of August in the ungodly hour of the morning. The Bushfire Advisory Committee meeting on the 10th of September. Infrastructure and Works Committee meeting on the 13th of August in the evening. And, okay, that's all right. And then the Local Emergency Management Committee on the 10th of September 2026. So that's the upcoming meetings, in which case I forgot to declare the meeting open at the appropriate time, which I think was 7:32. Yeah, but I'll declare it closed at, 5:32. I'll declare it closed at 7:11.